So we're going to jump into the next page, next slide. We are going to make a function with the same even and odd checker. Page 6. We will try to use for loop and if conditions and functions all together. And first, we will define a function called check and even and odd. You notice this on the bar, right? Whenever you want to use space or whenever you want to use a special character, replace it or to on the bar. That's very important one. Don't use space in Python because you will make your life really miserable in the end when you debug it. Don't use space. Always use on the bar, right? And yeah, it was my life during my PhD process. Although I did PhD using R, that doesn't accept space as well. And loop through the list using for num in numbers. And then inside the loop, use if num, basically the same, exactly the same code and same algorithm. And then print even and odd using the number, right? So the easiest way is you can just tap all the code like this and then make as a function. But we are going to make it all from the beginning again. We are going to make a function just called checker, and then we will receive numbers, right? And then for each num in numbers, it already give me all the things that I need. So for each num or each value of numbers, check if it is even number or odd number, and then display if it's even, say number is even, and display if it's odd, print is displayed as odd. Of course, you can use f function as well, something like this. This is also okay, and this is also okay. There are many different ways you can do it. And then we will run checker, we will call checker with any values you'd like. Then let's try to run it. It runs without any problem, right? But another thing that we can try is we already had this sort of for loop, right? This was the one we did in the previous exercise. We can turn this to function, quite easily, actually. It was something like this, and this worked. We are going to turn this as function. What we needed to do is define the function as checker with numbers, right? And then select all of those lines and then hit tab. Delete this number. Simple, right? You can always make your code to a function quite easily, and then you can checker something like this, and you can run it. This is how to functionize it. A process of making just normal code to a function is called a process of functionize. Here is another exercise. You actually have two different exercises, but I'm going to give you 5 minutes. You can choose exercise 3 or exercise 4, whatever you would like to try. If you think you are more like word person or like writing person, then you can choose exercise 3. And if you are more like a numerical person, then you can choose exercise 4. But the other way around, whatever you like. So try it on your own. I will give you 5 minutes, and then let's share it. As soon as you finish it, please share your code. Let's make the function together, and then we'll have a break. Let's go for the exercise 3 first. So it says define a function called count vowels with parameter word, right? Define count vowels and parameter word colon. And now we need, what are vowels? We need a variable that has a definition of vowels, a, e, o, u, and then count is 0, right? For each letter in word, however, just in case there can be a capital letter, we want to change to lower letter if letter in words count 1. Obviously, this can be count equals count plus 1, right? And then in the end, we want to print count. Now we can try with hello. If we run it, what happens is we call count vowels function with parameter hello. And then this variable word receive hello as its value, and then test each letter if I, E, O, U exists in the list of this vowel, in this vowel, right? Vowel, vowel, whatever. And then count, add 1. So count equals count plus 1. So whenever we have vowel, we add just 1. So we have 2 vowels here, so it becomes 2. The other way we can do is probably something like this. Return count, and then receive count as, let's say, CNT, and print CNT. It's another way we can do, right? Perfect. Thank you, Hyunwoo. And then we will go to the next exercise as well before we jump in, before we have a break. What is it? Next exercise is about the positive numbers. So it says define a function called average positive, right? So define function average positive with numbers. Usually when you decide or when you define a function, you need to name it carefully to make sure that you don't forget what is the purpose of it, what the purpose of the function. In this case, it's clearly saying average the positive numbers, right? And then we can we definitely need total, which is total sum, and we need count, right? The number of positive values in numbers. And for num in numbers, nums, so we need to go through each value of the given list, nums. And if num, if any value, if one value is positive, then add it to total. Just before we did something like this, right? Exactly same with this function, we can change it to nums. This means total equals total plus num. And then also we can add count. This AI actually confusing me a lot. If count, no, if count is more than 0, means if there's any positive value, then print total divided by count. Else, print nothing. And we can call it using something like this. This time I like the AI. And we expect to have average of 1, 2, 3, 5, except 4. Let's run it. It says it's 2.75. Let's test it. 1 plus A equals 1 plus 2 plus 3 4 plus and 5. And then print A divided by 4. If we print it, it says 2.75. Now we have the result. Is it clear? Or more confusing? So we are going to have a break for 7 minutes. We'll come back here by 4 KST. And if you have any question, let me know.